We wanted to give a beach update here for Sarasota County. We're about 4 months removed from when the hurricanes hit here last fall, and some things had closed at the time, and people are a little bit unsure of what's open and what's available, and we wanted to just clear some things up. So that's why we're doing this video. So what we decided to do was to visit the most popular beaches here in the county and just give an update on each one, the status of them, so that if you're traveling to the area for vacation, or if you're traveling to the area as a snowbird and just haven't gotten here yet, you'll know what you're going to encounter. So hopefully it'll clear up some questions that people tend to have. So we're going to start at the northern end of the county and begin at Lido Key Beach. Now, when we arrived at Lido Key Beach, the first thing I noticed was the parking lot looked back to normal. When we were there a few months ago, there was a giant mound of sand in the parking lot. That is gone, spread out. I don't know exactly where they put it. I assume they put it back on the beach, but regardless, the sand is out of the parking lot. When we walked out to the beach, things looked fairly normal. The beach was nice and flat. The beautiful white sand that you have there is still there. There was, some vegetation changes, but aside from that, it largely looks the same. While we were there, we decided just to drive around Lido Key just for a little bit, just to see how things were looking out in the neighborhoods and on the streets. The last time we were here, there was a lot of debris piled up by the streets from the storm, people cleaning out their places, their businesses, their houses. And so there was a lot of debris there. That debris was all cleaned up and things were looking good. So now let's move down south to Siesta Key Beach. As we arrived at Siesta Key Beach, things were also looking really good there. The parking lots looked nice and clean, looked how it always does. There was, similar to Lido Beach, there was a mound of sand, but this one was actually much larger that was there before, and they had it piled over just to the west of the parking lot. That mound of sand was completely gone. They were actually still adding to it when we were there last time, so it amazes me that they can get this all spread out. Looking back how it was, you can't even tell where they placed the sand. But as we walked out to the beach also looked great. Same white sand as you always expect, same beautiful beach. And you really can't tell at the beach that there was even a storm there. If you plan on visiting Siesta Key Beach, I'm sure you won't be disappointed at all. Now, as we drove around Siesta Key, we found a similar situation as Lido. The streets are cleaned up, the debris is picked up. Things are looking back to normal there as well. Now let's head a little bit further south to Nokomis Beach. As we arrived in Nokomis Beach, the first thing I noticed was the parking lot. It looked a little bit different. The parking lot's always been sand there, kind of a packed sand, and I just felt like things were a little more leveled out. Over time, these sand parking lots tend to wear a little bit, and I think all the displacement of the sand from the storm actually allowed them to flatten things really easily, because it does look a little bit different than it did before, but it looks great. As we walk out to the beach, I noticed a little bit of elevation sand when you walk in onto the beach. The sand seems it's just a little bit higher than it was. There was a lot of sand displaced from these storms, especially the further south you went. The beach still looks great. The only difference I notice is there's just a little bit of elevation change in the sand. Most people may not even notice that. It's still usable just like it always was, and definitely a place that you can come and enjoy. Now, the next beach, which so many people love, is the North Jetty Beach. This is inaccessible right now. You can't even get down the road. There's a barricade at the road that says North Jetty closed. Turn around. It's a flashing sign. So the only way you can get down to North Jetty is by walking from Nokomis Beach. We decided to walk down there so we could just check it out. The beach looks largely the same, aside from just the contour of the shoreline has changed a little bit in some spaces, and as you look back towards where the parking lot is, the sand is definitely higher back there. The jetty is actually closed. The parking lot is still closed. Obviously, you can't drive down there. The parking lot's still closed. There was some damage to the surface of the jetty, and they're gonna have to fix that before you're allowed on it. But I have been hearing lately, it may just be rumor, but I have been hearing lately that North Jetty parking lot should reopen soon. I flew a drone over it. I could see that it looks like it's all been leveled out. There's a few trees that used to be there that are gone. So if you're like me, I'm sure you're excited for that to reopen, and hopefully it is coming soon like the rumors I keep hearing say. Speaking of the jetty, we decided to fly the drone over both jetties just to scope out what it looked like. And what we decided was that's going to be a completely separate video. So if you want to learn more about the jetties and their current situation, click that subscribe button and click that little bell, because that should be our next video and we wouldn't want you to miss it. Now, getting back to the beaches, the next beach we came to is Venice Beach. Now, Venice Beach is the beach that sits right at the end of Venice Avenue. So if you're downtown Venice, along all those shops, you drive west right down towards the beach. You'll go through that nice Brohard Park that runs the whole way from downtown to the beach, and you'll come to the beach. There was a time soon after the storm where the parking lots were closed. Those are completely reopened. They look back to normal. Concessions are open, the restrooms are open, the tables and the eating area outside of the concessions area, that's all open as well. The gift shop is still there. So everything outside of the beach looks like it always has been, back to normal. As you walk onto the beach, if you've been here before, you'll most likely notice that things have changed a little bit out there. So the first thing you'll notice as you walk out on the beach is the sand elevation is significantly higher. As you can see, these benches, they were buried. They were all buried up to about the top of the back. They've been dug out since then. A couple of them you can sit down in, kind of like a hole. Your feet are down in a hole, and the benches, it sits there normally. It's just at ground level now. One of them, like you can see in this video, is buried up to the seat still. So you could sit right down there on the seat. You have a built-in backrest right on the beach. This beach has sand volleyball courts. Obviously, with the elevation change in the sand, it's going to change the height of the net. So they have made the adjustments, brought them back up to the regular height. And if you're a sand volleyball player, everything should be fine for that. As you go down to the beach, the storm really didn't affect it that much. You can still enjoy it just like you always have. So most of it's just how it appears, and it doesn't affect the functionality at all, which is really good because the beaches are so important to people here. The next beach we come to is Service Club Park Beach. As you can see, the parking lot and all the area outside of the beach looks completely the same, just like it did before. Everything's nice and clean, and the parking's great. There's no sand displaced out here at all. As you walk onto the beach, the first thing you may notice is the ramp that goes down to the beach now has sand coming up it and is partially buried. In fact, I was just out there 2 days ago, and there were people sitting on the railings. There used to be handrails, but they were sitting on them just as they were a bench because the sand had risen so high that that's the height of the rails at the end of the walkway. Now, as you go out to the beach, it's still just as usable as it always was. The only difference is the appearance has changed a little bit, just like the other beaches. The elevation has changed in some spots. The shoreline may have changed a little bit, but it is always changing with the tides and even just regular rainstorms and things like that. The beach changes from day to day, week to week. So really, it does not affect the functionality of the beach. You can still come out and enjoy it just like all the other beaches. So that brings us down to the beach by the fishing pier and by Sharky's right there. And this beach, just like Service Club Park Beach, largely the big change is the elevation coming in from the beach. The dunes are kind of gone now with where the grass was and things like that. So you can kind of just walk right out on the beach from the parking lot. It's kind of opened things up a little bit more, but elevation has changed in some spots. The shoreline might be a little steeper in some spots than it used to be, but largely the same other than that, just like all the other beaches. Now, if you come here in, let's say, the evening and you come for dinner at Sharky's and you want to go out and catch a sunset, I do want to let you know that the fishing pier did sustain some damage. It is currently barricaded, maybe 3/4 of the way out, and you cannot get past that until they get the repairs done. You can still enjoy a sunset here. You can still come out and fish. It's just there's limited space compared to how it used to be. You can't get down at the end where the pier kind of tees off and have all that nice space to view a sunset. You have to do it back behind the barricade. Next, we come to the Brohard Paw Park. Now, the dog beach, which is actually right here behind me, is largely back to normal. The one thing that had changed was the signs that mark the ends of the paw park were gone. Those are actually getting put up today, and I did notice out on the road that there is a sign out there that says if you are supposed to be aware of the boundaries of the paw park, and it is a $150 fine if you take your dog past that. So just be aware. I would hate to see you come out here and get a fine because you weren't aware of those boundaries. So if you are visiting the paw park, we actually did a video about it already, and I'll put a link here on the screen, but just be aware of those boundaries so that you don't get fined. I have been out on the beach a good bit recently, and dogs have been the whole way down to Caspersen, clear up past the pier. I don't think that they were enforcing it at the time because they didn't have those boundary signs marked, but they are marked now. And so I just wanted you to be aware. I would hate to see anybody get a fine over this. Lastly, on the Venice area, it brings us to the one I hear the most questions about. That is Caspersen Beach. I know so many people love Caspersen Beach for the shark tooth hunting, the shells. It's a great place to go. Sadly, the road the entire way down to Caspersen is destroyed. The facilities down there at Caspersen are closed, and so that is disappointing, but there is a solution to the problem. If you drive past the paw park, and you'll come to a parking lot that says South Brohard Beach. That is directly across from the drive that goes into the golf course. If you park there, you can go out to the beach from there. There's 2 beach accesses right off that parking lot. There's also a restroom at that parking lot. There's also like a shower foot wash station at that parking lot. So it has all the facilities you would need if you were visiting the beach. If you walk out to the beach and go to the left, that will take you down to Caspersen. Now, I will say that they do have a sign out on the beach if you walk down the shoreline that says that the beach is closed. However, a lot of people are still walking down the shoreline. I would just caution you a couple things. Be aware that debris still could be in the sand. I think they got a lot of it, but it still could be there. I know along where the rocks are, sometimes I've tripped a few times because the rocks are kind of hidden in the sand a little bit. They're buried in some spots, and you might step and think you're stepping on soft sand, and you actually step on one of the big boulder type rocks. So just be aware, be careful, don't trip, because those rocks could be sharp and hurt. As you go down towards Caspersen, the very first parking lot that you used to come to, it's kind of a sandy parking lot. That was probably 4 or 5 feet deep of sand when the storm hit. That has been cleaned up. However, they took all the broken road the whole way down through there and just made a giant mound of it in the parking lot there. So I don't know what they have planned, but that is the current status of that parking lot, which you can't drive down there anyways, so it really doesn't matter. I just wanted to give an update on how things are starting to look. They did get all the sand spread out. If you had been here before, there used to be road, then a dune with trees, some palm trees and vegetation, and then it would go sand again back down to the rocks and then out to the water. That dune with the sand, with the dune with the vegetation and trees, it's completely gone. The whole beach is wide open. Goes from trees down to the rocks and then the water. As for the area over by the restrooms, that was all tons of sand there, and back by the bridge that went back to the park in the back, that there was just piles of debris across the road right by that bridge. So that's all been cleaned up. Everything is looking really good. It's just not usable right now. The beach has changed a little bit, especially if you get past the rocks. The beach kind of carved back in a little bit. So the contour of the beach has changed, but it's still a great beach, especially if you get south of the rocks, where it's a little more remote. It's still very usable. The beach is still pretty flat down there. It's one of the flatter beaches to walk on around this area from what I've found. It's still great. You can still set up there for the day, back in the trees. You could hang a hammock, or you could set up a tent, and you could just enjoy that whole area and pretty much to yourself for an entire day if you wanted to. Also, again, be aware that the facilities are closed, so you will not have restroom facilities down there or anything like that. But from what I can tell, the cleanup work is done. They've removed all of the big equipment that they had running up and down the beach for the last couple months. So that shouldn't be an issue. Just be aware of your safety while you're there and the things that we've already talked about. Next, we'll travel down to Manasota Key and the Manasota Key Beach. Now that beach the parking lot has been cleaned up. There was a lot of sand there for a while. It's all cleaned up. And actually, from what I've been hearing, that parking lot's been getting full really fast lately. So if you are visiting, just a little note that you might want to arrive early. But as you enter the beach, you'll probably notice that sand was displaced. The sand is a bit higher. There's a little bit of damage on the rails of the decking that take you out to the beach that has not been repaired yet. But other than that, it's still great. It's still a great beach. And in case you were wondering about these beaches, especially Manasota Key and Caspersen, since it's so popular, yes, you can still find shark's teeth here. I found several in just a few moments of standing and watching waves wash up on the shore. I just saw teeth just tumbling in the surf. And so definitely don't be afraid to come out and shark tooth hunt. They're here, and it can make the beach extra enjoyable. So I highly encourage you doing that if you have never done it before. Lastly, we're going to talk about Blind Pass Beach, because Blind Pass Beach is also a great beach for shark tooth hunting. And it's just a nice beach in general. We actually like going down there a lot. The problem is the road is closed down the Blind Pass. According to the county website, that beach is completely closed. I do not know the status of it. I haven't seen it. I think the road probably sustained some significant damage as well. I know there's a spot where as you drive down right before you get to the beach area there, that the road runs right along the beach. It's just road, sand, water. So that probably got washed away based on the look of the houses and stuff down through there. The closure of Blind Pass is probably contributing a lot to the crowds that we're seeing at Manasota Beach. Just the limited options down there by Englewood make that pretty much the only beach that people can go to right now. So keep that in mind when you're traveling down that area. I have not heard when it's going to be reopened, but as of now, this is the 6th of February. As of right now, it is still closed. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the current status of the beaches, we go out to these beaches quite frequently. We really enjoy them. It's one of the great things about living here in paradise is you can enjoy the beaches whenever you want. If you are looking to travel down here, hopefully this helped. If you're looking to maybe buy an investment property or even move down here, or if you're even just from the area and looking to move to another house in the area, my wife and I are both realtors. Our information is down in the description. Just send us a message and let us know what you're looking for, and we'd love to help you out. Aside from that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.